Hello and welcome you all in this weekly webinar Back to School organized by the Finnish teacher Pekka. Me Ranjitsinh, I would like to welcome you all. And today we're going to talk about what should be our strategies when we get back to the schools. What are the technologies would help us to have the engaging sessions with our students? What type of technologies we need to focus on, and how we can use the technology in the classrooms when we get back to the schools. To speak about this and to share the experiences, we have very special guest tonight. We have Jussi.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. My name is Jussi Kajala. I'm one of the founders of 3D Bear, and I'm really pleased to be saying some welcoming words in this webinar on my behalf as well. Some of our people, like Mitch Weisburgh, who've been working closely together in the US, will be presenting in this webinar. And I hope you all enjoy the views about what's going on with the coronavirus crisis all around the world. How are different countries reacting to it? What's the future of education in this really exceptional circumstances we live in? And how do virtual technologies help in this situation? So on my behalf, welcome. And I'm here more as a listener than a speaker. So I will pass the mic along.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have a speaker from India, Monica Joshi. She is from St. Paul Mittal School. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ranjit sir. It's to be honored to be here on this webinar, Back to School, and sharing the learning practices from my school, St. Paul Mittal School, from Ludhiana, Punjab, India.
Yeah. Then we have Mitch from USA.
Hi, my name is Mitch Weisburgh, and I'm really happy to be here. I would like to say to the other presenters that there are some questions that maybe you could be looking at, some interesting questions that are coming up from the participants, and I'd like to encourage everybody else to ask questions as they occur, and just say that we're having some very interesting times in the US as well.
Yeah. And the man behind this whole webinar who actually planned everything and who actually pushed us to get back to collaborate with each other, Pekka.
Yeah, thank you. Mitch said it really well that we are really living in very interesting times, and actually Finnish primary education started today. We opened schools, and I could share some ideas how education is going in Finland, how we are opening schools. And I think that, and I hope that people will ask questions. And I think there are already some questions. I'm looking the question mark there, and I hope that we can answer them in the later part. So back to Ranjitsinh.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pekka. Even we all are very eager and excited to know what exactly Finland is doing right now. This is a very, very crucial time, and Finland has decided to reopen the schools. So your experience, your thoughts will be more valuable to us. So now I would like to ask Monica Joshi from India about her journey and living with COVID. So Monica, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll be sharing my presentation through the screen.
So your camera is not visible. I cannot put you in on a live.
Yeah.
Yes, now I can.
Yeah. Yes, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I would like to ask you now, everyone is living with these circumstances and we have adopted the new changes. So as a teacher, what do you think is the biggest challenge to be in this COVID-19 and to teach the students?
I'm of a belief that there's no challenge. The one who adapt themselves into this scenario are the survivors and others will perish. I believe that. But yes, as other, if I look at from the perspective if a teacher is not an IT teacher, so they have lots of challenges. Like if being in India, we see the female, the maximum of the teachers are the female teachers, and then they have to manage their house, they have to manage their children as well as the online learning also. So if I look at this scenario from my school's perspective, the challenges were like the device management and the IT training, which we equip the teachers by training them. We have the regular webinars with them. And then all those teachers were equipped with the tools that have to be used in the classrooms. And they were able, in these last 2.5 months, they were able to deliver their lectures online with the help of Microsoft Teams or through the recorded lectures. So, and I think they have coped up and were able to engage their children in a social emotional way also.
Yeah, that's good to know about your experience with the teachers. So you told us that you are training the teachers, those who are not IT teachers, specifically talking about the subject teachers you can. So how they can use the technology in this scenario to teach the students, because we are not teaching in a traditional teaching, or we don't have the classrooms,
Yes.
4-wall classrooms. So using
Yes.
the technology, that
Yeah.
the teachers who are not well equipped with the technology, they haven't tried it yet. So now
Yeah.
how you see your experience to train them and how they can use the technology to have those better experience that they have earlier.
Yeah, I really believed in a game-based learning actually. And
Okay.
you can very well engage the students very well if you are involving the gaming scenario while when you are educating your students. So if I share my presentation and can show you what my teachers have done in their classrooms, that would
Yeah, that would
be
be
very
great.
cool.
That would be great.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
please.
So yeah, I'll just turn off the camera and we'll be sharing the practices from my teachers and
Okay.
how the other teachers can take it into their classrooms when the schools open. So I'll just be sharing it quickly. You just give me a go ahead when you are able to see my screen.
Okay. So as Monica ma'am has told us that she will be sharing her screen. Yep, ma'am, we can see your presentation. Please go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm just going to share a few of the practices which we have used in these 2 months, though we had been using it before also. But yes, when we are not in touch with the students, obviously you have to have those scenarios and use those applications with which you can engage the students also. So like I told that I am from a place where technology is not much as prevalent as it is in the West, but still we are coping up with the times. And my school, Paul Mittal School, is one of the best school of Punjab and in India as well. So this is my school. If you can see in the top right corner. And as I told you that I believe in the game-based learning as it helps in the deeper classroom engagement and the interaction. And the children are able to understand about the abstract and the difficult concepts which we want to teach them. And it also helps the students to discover and learn more and helps in object modeling. And the game-based learning, it's not that tough. You can involve and engage the children as it can be done from the Android phones and iOS phones also, as youngsters these days have the devices with them. So we can involve the game-based learning practices in the classroom, and it helps the students to build their 21st century skills like the collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and presentation of ideas, global citizenship, and ICT. And even research have shown that our human brain is designed in such a way that we love to play the games. Like since childhood, you must have seen that if you are not eating food and your mother or your elder must be bribing you, okay, if you will eat this, then I will give you something. So that scenario is coming from our childhood only. And being in India, living in India, and you know that, Ranjit, if you will agree with me, that we are dealing with the learners of the generation that are of the Z generation. And I think the alphas are also coming in. So if we talk the language they understand, that would be better. So for that, the teachers have to be, it's very important that teachers should be aware, and they should be aware to how they have to build their competency and capabilities like our school teachers have done in this tough time. They have equipped themselves, they have trained themselves that how they have to change in this scenario to adapt in this scenario, and the new techniques they have really adopted, and which I'm going to share about, with one of the which is Minecraft. So, and as you know, it's a popular game which is used for serious education. People may be thinking that it is just used for playing games only, but I believe that Minecraft is used for building these skills also. And it actually helps in enhancing the creativity of the child, the critical thinking of the child. It helps the students to work in a team, which is very, very important these days. And it helps to practice in collaboration. That's very important skill our children should know these days. And also helps to develop the problem solving skills also of the students, and also enhance the coding skills. It attracts the young girls, the young students to join the computer science, and so that they come into the coding class, and then that remove that gender biasness also, and also helps in building the 3D models. And as I told you, the skills which it builds the empathy, ICT coding, collaboration, leadership, knowledge, communication, creativity, and teamwork. Minecraft helps in building all these skills. And you can see these are the examples from my classrooms. The examples of used in maths, used cases like the area and volume in mathematics. Like we were doing a chapter in geography. So we involved the concept like what are all the countries who play, which all countries who play cricket. And then to involve the cartoon script, we included that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and it involves the art also with that. Then to teach literature, we used the literature chapters, say Sherlock Holmes, Harry Potter. Then in mythology, the famous mythology, Ranjit, you will agree with me, that is Ramayana, which is one of the famous mythology of India. That is Ramayana. And then used in chemistry, the atoms and the ketones and all, understanding in chemistry is very difficult. So Minecraft really helps to understand the toughest chemistry part. And also we prepared kind of game, kind of scenario, and we explain the cybersecurity concepts also. So these are all use cases which have been used in our classrooms and during the remote learning, and in fact before that also. So anybody can use it in when the schools open. You can involve and engage your children with the help of that. And in case you need the resources related to this, this is one of the channel of my student. You can go and find out your the resources related to Minecraft here, and can use it in your classroom and use it with your children. And there are beautiful lessons of science, SST, all lessons are there, maths. And the next thing what we used with our students is 3D Bear. As 3D Bear actually involves the educators and students, and I have seen both of them loves it. It helps in video recording with a voiceover. It helps in curating the 3D models, importing 3D model from Thingiverse, any other softwares, and you can change the learning lesson delivery concept entirely different. So I'll be quickly showing you few of the use cases that we have used in our classrooms. 3D Bear also helps in enhancing the creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. Creativity by building the story writing. Critical thinking, you give the problem to the users to redesign something, to give designing a new concept. And in communication, you can have a visual way of sharing your thoughts, ideas, and creation. And collaboration, you can always give a combined project where they work in a team and they understand the viewpoint of the other students also. So very quickly, this teacher was teaching the comprehension concept to the students. So she created the story. I'll be playing it. Ranjit, if you can tell if you can hear the sound, please.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Such beautiful way with which the teacher can involve the students. The comprehension teaching is so interesting to understand. So you can see all these models have been added with the help of the 3D Bear app. It's a beautiful app which any teacher can use it with the students in the classroom. And it's easy. So you can see.
Oh wow, dinosaurs.
Yeah. So with this, you can see she's teaching lots of vocabulary words also when she is writing it besides. And now she has given this problem statement to the students that complete this story. So it's a beautiful way. It's a kind of a gamifying application through the 3D objects. So I'll show you another example of science where the teacher gave the problem or solving a decision making, identifying the farm animals, where on the left side, it's the recapitulation done by the teacher, and on the right side, the student has given the response to the teacher.
So I will say, as I'm looking at this, what I first read was decapitation, and I was wondering what kind of a lesson are you doing on decapitation? But recapitulation makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, kids.
And we cannot hear the audio in the video, so maybe you can explain what's happening.
Yeah. In this, actually, teacher has given the task to the students to identify what are the farm animals. So she has added the crocodile, the pig, and the wild animals, all the animals together. The students have to identify which are the farm animals and segregate. So this was the problem statement given by the teacher. And if I show you, this is the answer by the students. And the student has seen on this video, have identified the animals and labeled it. These are the farm animals. So this was one of the example which we use. Next we have.
Sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is breaking. Could you please just be very close to your microphone?
Yeah, it's clear now.
Now it's better.
Okay, so this is one of the example where the creativity and collaboration is shown. The teacher is teaching the alphabet D. While teaching the alphabet, she has taught a lot of vocabulary words to the students also. If I show you the first video, she's teaching the alphabet D, and while teaching D, she introduced the students the ducks, the dog's name, the deer, because this is a pre-primary concept. First, so
it is used. So if she
Again, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Yeah, so she's telling the students about that there are ducks, there is a dog, and
she has taught ducks, and if you see, there is letter D also here, right? And
Yes.
then same here, it's the student's response. The student is explaining its way, and student has also added objects. So she has explained in her own way.
so she's explaining, and then also her hand is also added with this video.
This way, the learning and children recreated the learning and learned how to communicate and collaborate with the peers also. So this is one of the examples of the social emotional learning lesson where children are taught that if somebody is not happy, how to make them happy. So that they understand that it's very important to take care of the emotions of the other students. So this is also one of the video which to teaching me social emotional learning to the students. This is a science lesson in which the teacher is explaining the excretory system. I'll just
Monica, ma'am, we are facing some audio issues with you. Hello? Hello, ma'am.
Okay, I think we have a bad connection. If we continue in Monica's questions, and I will
Okay.
continue from here.
Okay. Now you can turn on your camera. Could you please, Pekka? Yes, let me check. Okay. So, Pekka, could you please tell us what exactly the Finland has already prepared to reopen the schools? What sort of preparation you have, not as a teacher, but as a citizen of that Finnish Finland? What do you see the preparation by the government? And then tell us about what are the preparations you had as a teacher.
Yeah, I think we have done a lot very early phase. We were closing services, closing schools, and now we are opening schools and services again. The government is saying that we don't know how long we can keep them open, but the strategy is now we are trying to open one by one these services, and I think school is one of the many. And I can show you some examples what we have done already. People are talking about lockdown, and lockdown in Finland, I think it's very different from lockdown in other countries. And Ranjitsinh, if you can share my desktop. Okay. Thank you. My presentation is back to school, and I'm quickly presenting myself. I'm Pekka Ouli, and I'm e-learning specialist, and this kind of things where we are learning is kind of my business too. And we are located in the middle of the Finland, and we have 5 campuses, and our learning many times is something you see on the right. We are teaching people to do things. For example, people collecting woods from the forest. We are also doing very new technology, like here on the left, and we have a lot of technical opportunities that we can use. The lockdown in Finland, as I was saying, that the factories have been functioning all the time, so we don't have been hiding all the time. And in the right corner of this picture, you see our students that have been learning driving vehicles. Today I was visiting that exact the same place. The factory has been working and our students have been driving these trucks. They have been learning to drive the trucks. And you see our city here. It's a very small city, and I think that in this kind of environment, you are able to do different things than that in bigger countries like in India. And in our town, there are something like 18,000 people. And if you look the address at the top of it, you can take that address and visit those places in a 360 model. And this is something that we have been doing to, for example, in workplaces, we are making new models where we don't have to visit some places. And this 360 model, 360 photos is one solution. And today we are many of us are using augmented reality, and we are using it to educate operators and a lot of different subjects. And one cool idea, you cannot hear the sound, but we were making a music video using 3D beer. And I put the video on, and you are seeing this music video. And everything in this video is done by 3D Beer app. And on the left side, you can see the 3D Beer app screen and the Tonttu, the gnome, in the Christmas time. It's a very popular character. And we combined learning technology and making art. I think this is a good STEAM example how we can make the technology to visualize things that are not yet there. I think we could use this technology, for example, to tell people in what kind of environments, what is the social distancing. Maybe we are putting a couple of characters there, maybe some student characters in one room, and people will realize then how many people we are able to put in one room and explore the social distancing. And I think, anyway, this kind of example, if you are, Monica was telling about digital storytelling, I think this storytelling could be done in a mobile devices with video, with text, with voice, and apps like 3D Beer are good examples how to use it. And we are also using it to educate technology. Here, local companies are making forestry products, and we can bring these big expensive machines to students' homes, so they don't have to come so often to the school. So if you're thinking about school labs in some way, you can bring them to students' homes. We have been also able to do local curriculum for this new technology. And many times people are saying that, okay, we are interested about this, but we are not allowed to do it. But Ranjitsinh asked me, how have we have been preparing? We have been preparing very early, even we knew about pandemics. We were doing our curriculum, and it includes a lot of distance learning. But I realized that all these models that we have been making, it's not something that it's possible today do in a day or two. We have been doing this for about 10 years, looking for solutions, making networks, investing to devices. And I think that in a time like this, it's really have paid, it's really good for us. Here we can see the situation today, and here in the top bottom right corner, you can see the primary school of Äänekoski. I didn't go inside. They don't allow me to go there. And the teachers' cars were filling the side of the street. And they have been using different buildings. So we are separating people to different buildings. At the top picture, you are seeing just the building, but actually there are a group of students. When they have breaks, students are not going together. The whole school is not going to the yard, but they are separating them to different places. So normal groups, they are divided to smaller groups, maybe even 1 or 2 students. And the Finnish government is saying that unnecessary physical contact should be avoided, and fewer pupils are gathered in classrooms. We are dividing them even to other buildings, and no school food is cooked. They are like meal bags, and washing hands and having shields, it's encouraged. And here you can see a picture from our school, and here it was from today. And in the right corner you can see a group of 3 people learning to repair a car. There are nobody else in the hall. In the big picture beside it, there are students learning to drive a front loader. And in top corner, our students are making face shields for nurses. And so I think we are have gone in a hybrid model in vocational education, in primary education. They are doing the physical distancing. In our school, it means that some students come sometime at the school, some students are doing remote studies, and some students go to workplaces. But I know that this all needs hard work, preparation to make it work. So I think this situation where we were going, it happened so fast that people were not able to prepare for this. Okay, I think my presentation is here and we can go to next one.
Okay, thank you, Pekka, for sharing your valuable insights and how well the Finnish people and the government there are actually well prepared for this pandemic. So now I would like to get back to the, Leslie is here. Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. I actually have Mitch Weisburgh from 3D Bear, who has also joined. He'll be sharing his screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go to the share, and
So Mitch, you will be sharing, and
do you see the screen? What's happening in the U.S.?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So do you want me to make it live for the audience?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go. So now, what's happening in US? Tell us.
So
That's
really,
our goal.
Pekka really made a great point about you guys have been preparing in Finland for this for 10 years unknowingly, whereas in the States we have not been prepared at all to shift to remote instruction. So what are the interesting things, and I'm Leslie Sorel, and I also have Mitch Weisburgh who has joined. One of the interesting things about shifting 50.8 million students to remote instruction in less than 5 business days has provided us unique opportunities to see where we're lacking, as well as where our strengths are in particularly the public school system of the U.S. Can we advance?
Sure.
Great. So just to kind of give you an overview, we have about 50.8 million students who are in public schools alone, and we're going to focus on public schools here because I think it's a unique learning opportunity for all of us on the session. The challenges are pretty blatant. Access to technology, and that means from infrastructure as well as devices. Connectivity, because although you may have a one-to-one initiative, as in the case of LAUSD, that does not guarantee that there's connectivities in the students' homes. So there's that challenge. Rigor of content and availability of online content. So I'll give the case of New York City because I reside in New York City and I've been able to see this up close and personal for the past, 60 days. Time is blurring here while we're in quarantine. There has been a search, a rabid search of sort, to find content that translates very easily from in-classroom instruction to online instruction, coupled with teachers having to go into kind of a hyper learning zone to be able to transition from teaching in classrooms to teaching online. So there's been a paradigm shift right before our very eyes where folks are being charged to deliver rigor, state-aligned and national-aligned content on a platform that over 97.5% of teachers have never leveraged before. And do that with rigor. The piece around assessment is still being worked out, and we can certainly talk about that further in the presentation. And then we have the engagement challenge. So about 20 to 40% of the students in the United States have routinely engaged with their online learning in their learning materials. And that actually skews far to the left, to the lower end in densely populated areas as well as rural locations. And a lot of that tends to go back to access to technology and, as importantly, access to connectivity. So we have an engagement challenge where we're trying to get rigorous content out to students. We have a challenge where teachers are not prepared, we're not prepared to be able to deliver this remotely. And we have connectivity and tech availability challenges. So when you kind of layer that with being in quarantine, as in the case of over 98% of the largest school districts in the US, the parental support isn't there. And we can talk about some of the unique cases around, i.e. special education, where parents aren't prepared to support students with special needs, to your basic parent who is now home and has to become the primary source of education, discipline, and social emotional support for their student and or students, leveraging technology they're not familiar with. And for the most part, students aren't familiar with learning online. So there are those challenges. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mitch, for the next slide.
All right. So we've had a lot of lessons learned. I think one lesson we've learned is that all we have to do is follow President Trump, because one day he says one thing and the next day he says the opposite. So no matter what we do, we're following President Trump. But in the, I probably shouldn't have said that because this is being recorded, right, Leslie?
Oh, wow, Mitch. Way to make it.
So, so what we've learned, one of the things that we've learned is that the traditional mode of education, where the teacher is assigning materials and textbooks, assigning questions for the students to do, whether they do them in class or at home, where the teacher is in front of the classroom lecturing, that traditional model of instruction is not going to work as the students are remote, because the students just aren't going to put up with it. It's one thing if the teacher is in front of the class and she can make the students follow her, but when the students are at home, they'll go off and drift in other things. So we have to change. We now understand that we have to change the mode of instruction to really engage students and make them interested in the things that they're learning. We've learned that teachers were not prepared to do this. A, they were not prepared in the pedagogies because that's not how we've trained them and that's not how they've learned. And B, they weren't prepared in the technology because most teachers have never really used the technology before. And so on the good side of that, what's happened is that in the last 6 months, that teachers, probably 70% of whom had never really used technology with their students before, all of a sudden they've been forced to leverage technology, and many of them have found, wow, this really helps our learning. And so when the US opens up in the fall, we'll have a lot more teachers who are more prone to using technology than they've ever been before. And then we've been learning some new models to address student learning, because some of these teachers are really flying. They're giving their students projects that really are engaging students. They're finding ways of connecting with the parents and working directly with the parents, and they're establishing connections with students that they've never established before. So we've learned some hard lessons, the first two, and we've learned some things that that really will propel us to new ways of learning in the future. Leslie, do you have anything to add to this slide, or do you want to go ahead and run the next idea?
I think we can go ahead because we kind of touched on this here. So in terms of what's next for the U.S., and we are learning as we fly the plane, we're building it. With that being said, there has been an outreach, tremendous amount of outreach at the local Education Activity Agency, as well as the states. The governors of the United States have all come together to try to come up with some formulaic thinking around approaches. And because every state is unique, and within that state, sections of each state is unique, there's no uniform approach. So we have some of our educational visionaries engaged with this at the national as well as at the state level. And we have some local players who have been asked to create task force to kind of help redesign what a phased-in version of students returning to public schools will look like. And it will be very different than what it was pre-March first, give or take. So with that being said, the concepts of blended and hybrid models are certainly going to be engaged, and blended could mean a multiple of things. It could mean several days within a school building, certainly leveraging social distancing, and or a combination of virtual schools with nominal interaction with a physical location. The piece around increased student design thinking and creation in the framework and project-based learning is huge. This is an opportunity that the U.S. didn't expect to have, but it gives an opportunity where we can actually recreate what public schools look and think like. And most governors are going to take opportunity to do so. There's funding that's tied to innovation through what we call the CARE packages. So the federal government is looking for unique ways to bring students back into public schools safely, as well as to be able to deepen learning and provide educational advantages that weren't built into the system previously. So virtual schools within states are certainly going to experience exponential growth. Virtual schools that are run within school districts themselves, where they may have, as we indicated, a hybrid model of in-school and out-of-school learning opportunities, staggered instructional schedules that generally will help in terms of maintaining social distancing. They're in places such as Chicago or in Houston, Texas. The opportunity to actually execute on social distancing is limited because there's multiple schools in a single school building. So you may have one school that's a private school on the first floor. On the second floor, you may have a public school, and on the third floor, you may have a charter school. So the ability to be able to stagger instructional schedules is a major challenge, but that's one of the options that's being researched into as we speak. This is a key piece: increased professional development and virtual teacher certifications. Previously, it was kind of an option. It was kind of a filler for professional development schedules for teachers to, learn how to use Google, okay, or learn how to use Microsoft Teams. Now it's literally going to be added into their contracts, where they will be required to have certain levels of remote instruction certifications, and that you'll see a huge push for teachers to be able to pivot very quickly between in-classroom and remote instructions as we're preparing for not only a second wave of COVID-19, but also for any other crisis that may require remote instruction to be instantly turned on. So that's a lot when you're talking about an excess of 7-8 million instructors that service the school districts throughout the United States. So that's going to be a huge push. The engaging student activity that can be delivered online and in traditional classroom settings, such as 3D Bear, becomes critical. That opportunity to provide rigor, assessment, deeper learning, and documentation of that becomes something that is not an option as we go remotely or we pivot between the two, for the continuity of learning, as well as the documentation of actual academic acquisition and mastery. So, Mitch, if you want to kind of click the link of one of the projects that is very popular now, leveraging 3D Bear, that things like this will become even more popular as students are charged with designing their learning spaces and being able to use 3D Bear and augmented reality technologies to be able to do that, whether they're in classroom or remote.
So I'm hoping that people can see this on their screens. And in this case, the sound isn't going to come through, but what you see on the left is a virtual environment where the students had to go in and, using the principles that they were learning in class around design thinking, computational thinking, the scientific method of figuring out how to better use the space to how students wanted to use them. And one of the things that they came up with on the left was that they wanted to have different types of seating and more colors. And if you look at the picture on the right, this is when they presented this to the to the administration of the school, the administration of the school actually went and bought some of the things that the students had recommended. So if I'm going to
Are we able to get sound?
so the students here are showing some of the designs that the students have done. So it's really around seating. And so these were the students. These were the students who did it. So you saw some of the ideas that the students had come up with, and many of those ideas were actually incorporated by the teachers. Getting the kids involved in things that they really care about, such as redesigning their school, redesigning a local park, redesigning their own rooms, gets them to apply the academic principles that they're learning in school into projects that the kids really care about, and really locks in the learning and produces deep learning.
So to kind of tie this up, we're probably, I would say, 3 months out to actually presenting what education will look like in the United States, particularly public education, for the foreseeable future. But do expect that it's going to be tremendously different and hopefully dramatically improved post COVID-19. And with that, some of the tools that you just saw in terms of collaboration, project design, deep learning is something that we could pivot to, whether it's in class or virtually. So 3D Bear provides an excellent pathway to be able to do that seamlessly. And we're looking forward to see what's next for the US. Keep your eyes peeled. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Leslie and Mitch, for sharing your ideas, what exactly happening in US right now, and what is the future of the education in US. So I would like to invite now Jussi. Jussi, are you here?
I am indeed.
Yeah. So great to see you again. So Jussi,
Yes.
my question is that when we get back to school, how the technologies like 3D Beer can help teachers boost the teaching experiences and make the wow moment in the classrooms. So if someone is very interested to use the technology like 3D Beer, how they can start their journey to learn 3D Beer?
So I think that the value we bring to the table is really that we can help teachers and students to learn skills they need in virtual environments. And that's really what we do. So consider in career and technical education, interior design students. To learn interior design, you need to build spaces. Now you can do the same in augmented reality with help of furniture, kitchen, bathroom models, and you don't need to build everything from the scratch yourself. So you can practice the actual skill that you need for career using these virtual technologies. One of our ambassador teachers, Teppo Vahteristo in Keuda, he's estimated that using AR in learning interior design saves 10% of their course time and thousands of euros per course, because you don't need to build everything physically. Similarly, let's take another example from another field. So in process industry, where you need to learn how a factory operates or how do you use automation systems. These skills, going to do them really in a factory and train them is difficult, expensive, and you need a clearance to get there. With help of virtual environments, you don't need any of that. You can practice it at home. And the thing is that building these learning experiences has become so easy with this low barrier of entry software like 3D Bear that basically anybody can do it. You don't need to do coding. You don't need to understand sophisticated things about technology. You can just do it. And that's the beauty of it. And you can apply it to a wide variety of different fields. So today we've heard about, for example, social and emotional learning, about creative storytelling, and Monica Joshi showed beautifully in her presentation how these skills in primary education, how they benefit of using AR, VR in education. Similarly, this is applicable to career and technical education, real career skills, and obviously higher order skills, creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie, Jussi, for sharing the insights, how the teachers can get started with the
Right,
with the
so if you
3D.
want to try out, for example, our software, you can obviously download it directly from App Store and Google Play. You find it with name 3D Bear, and it's free to try.
Yeah, could you please share a link in a chat window so that teachers could try to click that link. So now
Absolutely.
getting back to Monica, ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Please turn on your camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I've turned it on.
So you were talking about how the gamification has helped you to really cope up with the situation right now. So could you please just explain in detail what exactly you are doing and how teachers can learn from your experience? Please go ahead.
So I just shared few of the practices, what our teachers are using in the classrooms. The basic concept behind is that you have to engage your learners so that they can create, they can communicate, they can collaborate, and the most important thing, they can enjoy. That's the most important thing. The learning should be made fun. And all my teachers, all our school teachers, they're using some of the other technique, using the gamification, be it Kahoot, be it 3D Bear, be it Minecraft, then Forms, and what do you say that, Merge Cube, Paint 3D, all these applications they are using to create small lessons, creating their modules, share it with the students. And the basic purpose while sharing the learning is that the child should be engaged, and there should be no pressure on the students to learn that concept. And when you involve the children in a fun mechanism, that learning become more impactful. And if it is through a visual aspect, it's lifelong learning also. So that's the way we are doing it, and the examples I have shared. And unfortunately, due to the internet connection, I couldn't share the other two examples also. We are involving Paint 3D. The 3D models are being created, extracted, and then we are using and extracting it in 3D Bear and creating the stories. So it's not that only 3D Bear we are using. There are more other applications also besides that to making learning engaging. So the concept behind this is engage, create, collaborate, communicate, collaborate, and enjoy.
Yeah. So this is what exactly teacher or student can do right now. Just create, engage, collaborate, and enjoy. Learning can be a fun situation in right now, this situation. So right now we are open to answer your questions, any queries you want to know something from our guest speakers. So
So I'd like to say just one thing. You were bringing that learning can be fun, and I would like to posit that our brains were designed for learning to be fun. I mean, not only do we learn best through play, as Monica brought up, but every time we learn something, our brain gets this surge in oxytocin, which makes us happy. So the fact that in schools, maybe we're not enjoying the learning points to the fact that we're not designing schools for the way the human brain is designed to learn. And this crisis has really forced us to confront that. And I think that what we're likely to see in the coming years is that we're going to change the way we teach to be more like the way the human brain learns with fun activities. And I happen to love 3D Bear, so 3D Bear allows you to do a lot of these fun activities, and so do games and and other software also, and teaching methodologies that have nothing to do with technology. But 3D Bear is one of the ways that we can learn through having fun.
Yeah, I second with you for that.
Okay, so Pekka, do we have any questions in the chat box?
Okay, yes, we have, and people were asking. Let me see, when you can open schools in India.
Oh my God.
Tough question.
Yeah, okay. So
schools are already open.
Virtual
schools were never closed. Virtual
Yes.
schools are going on.
Schools are, the teaching learning process is ongoing process. Learning it's like a lifelong journey. So it's not stopped yet. Only the buildings are closed, but the interaction with students and teachers, it's still going on. So I'm not sure, but maybe in the month of September or earlier, the last week of the August, situation might get better than the right now, and may get a chance to interact with our students in a face-to-face. But today, I'm not sure about it. And we are not fortunate as you are, Pekka. So you started your schools today with the different concept of distance learning and lockdown. So here in India, it's a much populated country, and it's very difficult to manage a class of 60 or 70 students in a single classroom. So the following the social distancing might be the problem to concern.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you that there are not any universal solutions. I think everybody has to think about where they are living and what kind of gear they are having. People were asking like, what if we don't even have phones? I think you told me that it's something really happening in your place. We have really good networks. All of our kids have mobile phones, maybe even laptops, and even then, in that situation, we are going back to school because there are so few of us, and the social distancing, it's our normal way of life. I have to tell a Finnish joke here, that in Finland, when people said that you need to keep up 2 meters from each other, and people were saying, what? We have to be so close to each other. so Finnish people like to be like 5 meters away from each other. So 2 meters is like inviting people to come near to me.
I think in India, if people had to be 2 meters apart, you'd have to expand the whole country by 2 times, right?
And for last thing for me, I was thinking what I bring to school. I think I bring the ideas that you were already saying, that be creative and bring fun to learning. I think that the learning is not the standard. We have so many solutions and so many ideas that sharing our experiences like this is actually learning. We are learning from each other. When Monica was showing her presentation, I learned many things. When we were training this, Ranjitsinh was asking me questions, I learned, okay, maybe I have not focused my thoughts fully. And I think that even the terms like hybrid models, I think that I've been using it a bit like in some situation. But when Leslie was telling about in a very large scale how you are doing different solutions, it's something I have to discover in the future.
Okay, so I have questions for all the guest speakers here. So talking about the teachers' empowerment in this situation, what sort of a skills teachers need to focus on right now? So Mitch, could you please answer this question?
Sure. So what do I think teachers should focus on right now? I think, so I'm going to say teachers are trying as hard as they can. And from my standpoint, teachers should focus on giving themselves a break and understanding that they don't have to do everything perfect the first time. We're all learning things, and you know something, if you try something and it doesn't work the first time, don't get down on yourself. Take a deep breath and just let yourself know that you are a good person and you're trying your best, and that's okay. And so that's what I would say. That's my message for teachers.
Okay, so another idea comes in mind. Right now, it's not a normal situation, right? So where everyone could focus on the syllabus and the content in the textbooks. So do you think that the policymakers or the teachers do need to mold the situations and mold the syllabus, and they come up with a very uh, short syllabus or any curriculum changes could be happen in the next future? Leslie?
That's an excellent question. I think this is an opportunity for innovation across the board, both policy innovation as well as actual teaching and pedagogy delivery opportunities. And what you'll find in the United States, there's always an educational lag. So whether it's in policy, as in how do you integrate technology throughout the day for students who use it throughout the day anyway, in their instructional time. And this is a chance where we can kind of cross that chasm as a society and move forward, that this is so integrated that there'll be no pivot, there'll be no shift the next time. This should be part of what we do normally, because it's within our normal day. There's not one child who doesn't have access to a smartphone. There's not one child that doesn't understand gamification without being professionally developed. And I always tell teachers, we don't have to train the students on using this tool.
Right. You're right.
You say sign in and they're working. I have to professionally develop you. So there's, that conversation has certainly taken a shift, and we're going to see a more integrated approach to technology and education moving forward.
So that's a good point you actually make here, that students should not be trained to use the technology right now when they are at the home. It's a teacher's role, but teachers cannot do everything right now. It's like doing everything but jack of all but master of none, like this is what happening. So teachers are planning the lessons, then getting back on the thread in front of the laptop, delivering the lectures, interacting with the students, then evaluating this. So this is not going to work right now. So every idea or the work or the task should be well focused. So shall we focus on the skills, very specific skills, talking about the 21st century skills? What should be the skills? What are those skills that teachers need to focus in this pandemic? Monica ma'am, could you please answer this?
I think first of all, the teachers should be aware actually that what is the actual expectation of the learner. They should be aware about the actual need versus the expectation of the learner. Also, like in the beginning also I told that we as teacher, we must experiment every day, and there is a scope of improvement every day to learn from it, and so that our children can communicate, coordinate, collaborate, and connect. So like I told you that in the coming times, this time COVID-19, who has survived in this situation and adapted can survive, and then the others will perish. So that thing will, I believe in that thing. And so one has to look into, teacher has to look into that. They have to leave that rigidity, that and should be ready to assimilate the change, as I believe change is the only constant. And we should not fear, we should keep on trying every day, and should not be in that mode that it has to be a perfection thing. We just should just try, and then it's okay if we have to tell our students that yes, I have just learned new. We should not be afraid to learn from our students, and we are successful, and I think better teachers if we learn
Yeah.
from our children.
And the Namya is a great example of
Yes.
what exactly you're saying. So she is
Yes.
every day training at least 10 teachers. Her mantra is that one
Yes.
one
Each
person
one teach 10.
teach 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she might be completing her mission.
So she's a great example, and I've learned a lot from her, that we should have perseverance and resilience in the times. Yes, it's very easier to say and difficult to apply, but yes, at least we should practice and should not get into the thing of perfectionist system. Try and engage our students and make them happy.
Yeah. So Pekka, my questions to you now. What do you miss right now?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think Mariana from Ukraine asked that do we have to make every student go to school? We made a questionnaire for students and teachers what they want to do, and everybody, I don't know, okay, maybe I exaggerate that. Many of the students said, and the teacher said, we want to go back to school. Why? They have communities there, they have friends there. Actually, our school is like a big society. And somebody asked why we are so successful in education. I think that the society is something that people are not learning for the teacher, they are learning for themselves. And I think that is something people want to, we have so many good stuff at the school, like good food and nice atmosphere. It's not like a paradise, but I think it's something that people are really missing. They are missing the community, and many times our students, when they are graduated, they come to school. Okay, Pekka, let's go to cafeteria and discuss some things. I think that's that kind of thing. When I'm here down at my basement, nobody is asking me that, okay, Pekka, let's go to the coffee and discuss some cool things. And so I'm missing people.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, do you have any questions in the chat box, Pekka?
I think that people have been answering those questions
Okay.
now, and I think we have been going through, and I think our time for this event, I think we have done a great job. I checked the statistics. From where the people have been coming. We have had 457 Indian visitors.
Wow.
15 persons from Finland and 9 persons from Ukraine.
That's good. Even that could the number could be increased. Only the thing is that you have changed the link.
Yeah.
Because I'm receiving so many messages on a mobile. So
Yeah.
this link is not working even.
Sorry, I made a technical mistake, but I have to say that if this is a failure, we had 500 persons here. This is a good failure.
Yeah.
And now we have learned to do live event and
Yes.
how to make it and how to advertise it. I have learned that there are amazing teachers across the globe that are able to do things like, okay, let's make a live event.
Okay. So
Thank
this
you.
was a really cool idea from Mr. Pekka to collaborate, to invite all the teachers from corners of the world and put together them and share their experiences with the teaching community across the globe. Thank you so much, all of you, Mitch, Leslie, Monica, Jussi, and Pekka, for sharing your experiences and valuable time tonight here. So it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much, all the participants, and thank you, all the guest speakers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.